Hi there. In this video, we'll be covering how to position yourself as a leader. Becoming a leader is such an awesome thing, and the tips in this video can help you take the next step forward in your leadership journey. By the end of this video, you will learn the importance of setting an example, being authentic, and developing and sharing your perspectives. And stay tuned until the end of the video for a free opportunity. Let's dive in. Being a leader is about doing the hard work. It's about stepping in when something needs to be done. You know, it's not just about sitting back and waiting for other people to do things. It's about being proactive. It's about taking charge. It's interesting because I've had many leadership roles throughout my career, and it's one thing to have a title. Lots of people have titles. I think being a leader is something deeper than that. You know, being a leader transcends title. You know, being a leader is really somebody who can set a course for other people to follow. And in order to be that person that others follow, you need to understand the problem and understand opportunities and solutions, which means you need to have experience of some kind. You need to have work experience, career experience, life experience. There needs to be something that happened to you or that you endured or that you experienced that gave you perspective and helped you become a leader. You can't just step in day one and necessarily be a leader. It's something that evolves over time. A lot of times we think about leaders being made or born, and I definitely think they're made. You know, I think being a leader in business really requires you to have some level of understanding or perspective. You know, maybe it's not even in that specific field, but you have to have something that you lean on, something that you went through, something that you endured, something that you succeeded with. You know, a lot of times we see people who start their own businesses, you know, and then they shift into a role where they're now overseeing people. I think that's an awesome thing, but it requires you to go through those steps first, to endure and struggle and succeed and fail and understand what that feels like, and kind of using those perspectives to galvanize your own style, your own message, your own focus. Positioning yourself as a leader is really about setting an example. You want to set an example for others. You want to be the person that others look to when they have questions, when they have concerns, when they have doubts. You want to be the person who can step in and help. You want to be the person who gives them insight. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are their boss. You may be a leader and not the person that they report to. Being a leader is somebody who is happy to share advice and insight. It's somebody who's, you know, gathered some experience and is happy to share it, happy to provide insight to others, happy to take their wisdom and project it back out. One of the most important elements of being a leader is being authentic and being vulnerable. You know, I think a lot of times when people succeed in business, they want to just focus on the successes. They want to focus on the things they did well. But there were a lot of little things they did not well leading up to that. You know, so many business leaders fail at business multiple times, but they keep getting back up. They dust themselves off. They learn something, and then they apply it. They apply those lessons to whatever they're doing next. It's great when you can take the struggles and you can shift them forward, and you can use them as a lesson to help somebody. You know, when someone reaches out to you for insight or support or guidance, they don't want to hear all about you succeeding. They want to hear about what you would do. They want to hear about, you know, the struggles that you faced, you know, the struggles that you faced in your career and your opportunities. You know, I look at my own path to leadership as a book ghostwriter, and the early going was a struggle. I didn't know how to find leads. I didn't believe in myself as a ghostwriter. There was a level of imposter syndrome. You know, I wasn't great at selling, and I still am not. And I think it's great to be able to lean into that and be open and honest about it. It's great because I've had lead calls recently with people who've become clients of mine who said, I appreciate the fact that you weren't trying to sell to me. I love that. I think that's an awesome thing. You know, but getting to that point has been a journey and a process. And it required me to recognize my strengths and my weaknesses and be able to share those. You know, I love being able to connect with other people who are beginning their journey. I've been talking to other book ghostwriters who want to get into this area but have, are only at the beginning of this process. And it's awesome when they reach out to me. It's awesome to be able to give back some feedback, some guidance, talk to them all about the issues I faced. When I was struggling to get opportunities, and I was going on Upwork and Fiverr to find jobs that didn't pay well, that didn't really work out for me. So that's a good lesson I can teach to people. It's really about recognizing that the struggle is really part of your journey. Your journey to leadership is built on the issues you're facing, the struggles you have, the doubts you have, because those are all the doubts and struggles that most other people are going to face when they're in similar situations. So when you hear from people who are at the beginning stages, it's great to be able to talk to them about your own struggles and being vulnerable about that, because it's going to help really inform them. It's going to help give them the clarity that if they stick with it and they keep moving forward, under your guidance and under your support, there is a happy ending here if they keep moving forward. But the message of this video is about positioning yourself as a leader. Positioning yourself. I really want to focus on that, positioning yourself. And that requires other people to understand what you're all about. It requires you to be public facing as well as internal, internal and external. And that could be company-wide, that could be external to the public. There needs to be some level of understanding from others about what your message is and what your perspectives are. And being able to share your messages and position yourself as a leader really requires you to put yourself out there. Is that on social media? Is that in essays? Is that on LinkedIn? You really need to position yourself in a specific place to be thought of as a leader. Otherwise, how are people going to know that you're a leader if you're just doing it silently and quietly? I'm all about being humble. I think it's a great thing. But one of the struggles today is the fact that in order to position ourselves a certain way, we need to lean into those things. We need to be real about them and honest about them. And we need to be able to project that message outward. That message outward is crucial to this whole process, because if you don't project that message outward, everything stops there. There's no building it further. There's no taking it to new heights. You're simply a leader, and you're a leader of people, and those people respect you, and that's great. But this is really about positioning yourself as a leader. It's not about just establishing yourself, but taking that next step in leadership. In order to do so, you really need to be able to figure out your message, figure out your perspective. What gives you a unique perspective and vantage point on this whole thing? What are the strengths that make you stand out? What makes you special and different, and what makes your style more successful than anything else? Being able to position yourself and being able to unlock your core story, your core message, your core style of leadership is such an awesome thing. When I was in my journalism career, my newsroom career, it was tough for me to establish myself as a leader at times because I worked overnight shifts when literally no one was working. There were times when I was the only person in the newsroom. And this was 4 years worth of working overnights. So I was a leader in a certain sense, but I was kind of under the radar because no one knew what I was doing for 8 hours a day, like a night. Like I was pretty much in a vacuum. And I was learning these leadership skills and developing them and honing my approach, but I didn't have the ability to share them, to connect with other people, to really drive them forward. That changed when I got promoted to newsroom role at the New York Daily News, when I had more time to connect with my reporters, to grow on a team, to be a part of this process and to basically apply the leadership style that I developed in this dynamic way. And it was awesome to be able to do that, to unleash it, to unlock it, and to see the success. Like I'd been working kind of behind the scenes on this leadership style, and here it was. And it was awesome to see the results, and it was awesome to feel the power of it. I still keep in touch with the people that I worked with, and it was such an awesome thing to be able to grow into my best version of myself as a leader, which takes time. A lot of times when you're first promoted, and I go back to early parts of my career when I was first promoted to leadership roles, I struggled with it because I wasn't really ready. I didn't have everything unlocked on my side. And because I didn't have everything unlocked, it was tough for me to project it outward for others. But being a leader is about setting a course. And I think because I was vulnerable and because I could lean into my struggles and lean into my frustrations and find myself on the opposite side of that, it made me a more engaging and powerful leader, one that could really connect with the people that reported to me. And it was so special to be able to do so many cool things together, to build a real team, to see people empowered by my stories and my lessons. So it was awesome to be able to grow into that leadership role and see the results, see the outcomes. Taking your leadership to the next level is really about sharing. It's about sending the message out. It's about projecting it out to the world. That could come in so many different forms. It could come in essays, LinkedIn posts, social media posts, YouTube videos, speeches, books. Books are such an awesome way to present yourself and really capture your message as a leader, to really set yourself apart. And I love working with books. I've ghostwritten 25 books at this point, and it's been awesome to work with thought leaders, CEOs, and people with interesting stories to share and help them bring their stories forward. And I feel like I've learned a lot of leadership tips just from working with them. But it's neat to see the outcomes that people can get from working on a book. People think of a book as just a book. Here's a collection of pages bound together, front cover, back cover, here you go. But it's more than that. A book is more than a book. A book is, a piece of your heart. It's a piece of your message. It's a chance to share your story and put yourself out there. And if you're trying to position yourself as a leader, what better way to do so than to really hammer home your leadership lessons in book form? The people I work with as a book ghostwriter have awesome stories to share, but a lot of times it's about unlocking the story. It's about figuring out their message. It's about taking them through this journey and helping them understand how their experiences can help a reader, can help somebody else. So it's this opportunity to connect the dots, on their story, and then to help someone connect the dots in their life. And that's what leadership's all about. Leadership is really about showing the way for somebody else and showing them the ropes and guiding them and teaching them and helping them learn something. And they can do all of those things if you write a book and you share your messages and your stories and your perspectives and your ups and downs and struggles. So I'm a big fan of books. I encourage them. Anybody who has a story to share should write a book. Everybody has a story. Everybody has something to say. And being able to figure out the message of your story and putting it into a book can unlock so much potential that you don't even realize. Positioning yourself further as a leader. And now you're thought of among leadership people as a leader. Now you're in these spaces. Now you're invited to events. Now you're giving speeches about leadership. Now you're doing video courses. Now you're connecting with people in a new way and empowering them to be their best selves, to be better, to find themselves in a different place than they were yesterday. It's awesome to be able to share your messages. It's awesome to be able to give back and to pass the torch to the next generation of leaders. I think too, as the workplace has evolved, things are different now. Things are different than they were pre-pandemic, 5-10 years ago. I feel like everybody's in their little bubble at times. Being able to take your leadership lessons and share them with other people and help them, empower them to become better leaders is an awesome thing. And that's what you want to do. You want to empower the next generation of leaders. And what better way to do that than writing a book? If you want to learn more about how to position yourself as a leader, just go to my website, goodghostwriter.com. You can click the link below and book a one-on-one strategy call with me so we can talk all about your journey as a leader and how a book could help you achieve your goals. Remember, good ghostwriting makes great books. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.